Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that the word ojasa means by dint of devotional service. Hare Krishna. So first offering pranams, obeisance to the lotus feet of Srila Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedant Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Paramaraditam Gurudev, to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the entire Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all assembled devotees and all devotees around the world. Hare Krishna. So today we are honoring the auspicious occasion of the appearance, or this day of Shiva Ratri. Last night we spoke about this topic in relation to different instructions that we can imbibe from the life of Lord Shiva. Today we're continuing, and we're reading as usual from Srimad Bhagavatam in the morning program here at this beautiful New Gokulam Ashram temple. I'm very honored to finally visit. I was remembering last night how I'd come to Texas, to Houston in 2005, 2004, but since then I haven't been back. I came as a student in our Guru's school, but I never got the chance to come here. It's funny, my memory is a bit dim. It seems like a very long past, but I don't think when did the temple project start?
2006.
So 2006, this beautiful project began. I would love to hear more about it. Perhaps we'll do this as a separate discussion. I'm starting a online video podcast and audio podcast. It's called Servant for the People, and it's based on the teachings of our lineage, our Sri Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. There are many beautiful instructions we can learn about how to live properly as a servant of God and a servant to our spiritual masters. Our Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is famous as the seventh Goswami, said, Jibe dhoya Krishna nam sarva dharmasar. Jibe dhoya means, what is dhoya? Compassion. This is the nature of the sadhu, or the saintly person. Para dhuk dhuki. They themselves feel suffering at the suffering of others. Jibe dhoya, so you should be compassionate towards all living entities. We have 4 basic regulative principles. Sometimes people ask me which one is most important to follow. All of them. Last night we talked about alcoholism, how there are different forms of intoxication. But it's not just drinking whiskey or beer or wine, it's the pride of desire for name and fame and so forth. That's also a form of intoxication. But kindness is very important. Therefore we say, do not cause harm to other living entities. This is one of the most fundamental pillars of spiritual life. Ahimsa, so this is a very beautiful project we have here that is on the principle of ahimsa, where we are serving, not harming, but actually serving Mother Cow. And when we talk about building a better world together with our efforts to serve love, which is our mission, Prem Seva, then you start with Mother Cow, because Mother Cow is the embodiment of all the demigods and all the gods. In Vedic culture, they show Mother Cow and where each of the gods reside. And Mother Cow herself represents the entire earth. And so by serving Mother Cow, you're serving Mother Earth, and you can create a spiritual society. So this is a very important principle. Yesterday when I came, I was thinking how this is it reminded me a lot of living in Vrindavan. I lived in Vrindavan and Mathura for 16 years, and I went there when I was 9 and went every year since I was 9 until I lived there. And so I've spent more of my life in Vrindavan than in the West, but I'm worried that the scales might tip again in favor of the West. But therefore I'm trying to pray and meditate on Vrindavan being a place that you can realize within the heart. I was in Maui for a week and we were giving talks about this idea that the kingdom of God is in the heart, and if you manifest that in your heart by the mercy of revelation of your spiritual masters as well as your own effort in devotional service, then you can always reside within that temple and that land of Vrindavan, and then wherever you go you help manifest that vision of Vrindavan. So these projects are expansions of the Holy Dham. This is something that our spiritual masters teach us, especially my instructing spiritual master in our temple in Vrindavan says, don't think a temple in the West is not connected to Vrindavan. It is a branch of Vrindavan, and it is a branch of Mayapur, Lord Chaitanya's appearance place. So this is an embassy where we serve the Lord and take care of devotees and help people come closer to Krishna and bring them to the land of Vrindavan. And he said, wherever Thakurji is present, wherever our gurus are present, they are present. So you can sit and pray to Prabhupada, you can sit and pray to Srila Gurudev and your acharyas, and they are present. So therefore we're talking about the process of devotional service and how Maharaj Nabi, by his ojasa, which means by the dint of his devotional service, the devatas, means the gods, and ultimately the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna was very pleased, the Brahmins were very pleased, and the Supreme Lord appeared to him as his own son. So this is a very intriguing topic in the Abrahamic traditions, which cover a majority of you could say the majority of people in the world who are practicing religion are practicing in an Abrahamic faith. There is the conception that God is the Father, but to conceive of God as the Son is something very profound. But we should not limit to God as just the Son. God is the Father. But is he only the Father? In our Vedic tradition we say, Tameva Mata, Tameva Pita, Tameva Bandhu, Tameva Saka. You are my Deva Deva, you are my life and soul, you are my everything. My friend, my father. But this is a beautiful topic. In our scriptures, it is described that you can have a specific relationship with God, Krishna, according to your nature, as it awakens and you discover it through the process of devotional service. Therefore, the Lord may appear as your son if you're in the mood of parental affection for the Lord. When I'm traveling and we meet different people, some people just have that nature where they love the idea of Krishna as their son. This is beautiful. Some people have the nature they think of Krishna as their best friend, and some as their beloved. So these are the three primary relationships that we in this line aspire towards. But yet God is not just our son. It's a very interesting conception. Our Srila Gurudev, I remember in New Braj, California, where I grew up and went to school, every year he would come and he would have all the different students stand up and speak. And when my godbrother Prem Pradeep stood up, he must have been about 8 years old, and Gurudev had him recite the verse, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi Adi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Ishvara Parama, the supreme controller of all controllers, is Sri Krishna. Iticham Sukala Pungsa Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. This is clearly established in the Vedas. So our Gurudev said, if he is the Anadi Adi, which is the next line, which it means the beginning without beginning. Anadi Adi Govinda. He is the beginning without beginning, Sarva Karna Karnam, the cause of all causes. So Prem standing there like 8, 9, something like that. So if he is the beginning of beginning, the cause of all causes, how can he be the son of Nanda Maharaj? Is he Nanda Nandan or Jashoda Nandan? Actually, Gurudev was very funny. He said, your father is Brajendra Nandana. Prem produced father, Brajendra Nandana, which means Krishna, the son of the king of Vrindavan or Braj, Nanda Maharaj. So Gurudev said, is Krishna his son? How can he be his son if he is the cause of all causes, the beginning of all beginnings? What are you going to say? Surrounded by 500, 600 devotees. Gurudev said he is the son. And he said in the spiritual world, nothing is past, present, future. Eternal present, eternal existence. Therefore, it's based on relationship, not ontological beginnings or ends, which are based on material existence. God is ever existing, the soul is ever existing. But you have a relationship with God, and relationship with God is the nature of existence. Krishnera Nitya Das, we are eternal relatives, friends, servants of God. In the realm of Vrindavan, our relationship with God isn't dependent on a mood of opulence or the Godhead. Merely He is our friend, our beloved, or our son. These are the three primary relationships. In other places, there are other abodes of the Godhead. There He is primarily the Father. This is called Dwarkadam. So Lord Krishna has different levels of abodes. And in one He has how many family members? How many family members in Dwarka? Chappan crore. Like 560 million, something like that, right? He had 16,108 wives, and with each wife he had 10 sons and 1 daughter. How many grandsons and granddaughters? So there the Lord is Father. So how can we limit God? Oh, He is only Father, He is Son. God is your relative. We say, O Father, hallowed be Thy name. So ultimately we understand God as Father because God is Creator. So for us from this world we say, O Lord, You are Jagannath, You are the Lord and Master of the universe. But really, our Gurudev also gave an important lesson. At that point he said, we should learn all philosophical truths and practice very seriously devotional service. Das Mula Tattva, which means all types of knowledge. He said that bhakti or devotional service, as well as the mood of love for God, is not covered over by knowledge or renunciation or fruitive activities or yoga, but especially spiritual knowledge and renunciation or austerity support devotional service. Therefore, the other limbs of Dharma include tapasya, austerity, satya, truth, ahimsa, non-violence or kindness, and soch, cleanliness. So if you're not practicing austerity, you can say, oh, I am a lover of God, I'm this and that. But the nature of the material energy is it will drag you down. And you will think, oh, I love God, but I also love the hookah. I love God, but I also love all my different paramours. I love God, but I also love a big, fat, juicy cheeseburger. So this is not purified, perfected love of God. There may be some amount there. Our Gurudev said, pure bhakti is bhakti, everything else is mixed. So really, even when there's some mixed bhakti, some little bit of bhakti may be there, but this is contaminated. He said, pure bhakti is bhakti, therefore his mission is called Pure Bhakti. You can go to Pure Bhakti website. Why? Our Gurudev established Pure Bhakti, Anyabilashta Shunyam. Without motivation, without other desires. So, we learn all truths. Who is God? Who are we? What is this world? How do we progress? How do we achieve the goal of life? What are the different goals of life? There are 4 basic human goals of life. But ultimately, 3 of those are temporary. Dharma, Artha, Kama. Moksha is liberation. But for us, that is also not desirable. The devotees say, I will not accept from you, O Lord, even if you give it. I do not liberation without the service of your lotus feet. If that liberation provides me intimacy with you, more intimate service to you, more love and relation with you, then I accept it. Otherwise, no, I don't need it. Dhiyamanam nagrananti. Many people tell me, how do I get liberation? I say, I don't know. I'm not interested in liberation. I'm interested in service. Mahaprabhu said, Janmani Janmanishvara. Life after life, wherever I am, let me be your servant and let me be near your servants. Let me be a devotee. But mukti for us means, liberation for us means rising above the modes. We could all use a little mukti now and again. 3 modes of material nature, sattva, rajatama, they all bind us to the material nature. So those who follow bhakti are on the Nirgun platform, the transcendental platform. This is called Jivan Mukta. Living in this body and being liberated. Like our Nada Rishi and our great sages that are described here in these verses. They don't need liberation because they're already liberated. Why? Ihayasya harirdasya karmana manasa gira jivan mukta sa uchate. Sastra says those who engage all of the karmana activities, manasa activities of the mind, and kriya, and vachan, their speech, in the service of the Supreme Lord, they are liberated, even in this life. So it's said for the devotee, living or dying is the same. Once there was a story of a sage came through a kingdom, and someone asked him. They were in the town square and they saw a prince go by. There was a butcher shop. There was a brahmachari, a celibate monk, student. There was a devotee. They asked the sage, what is their destiny and how should they live? How long should they live? What should they practice? And he said, the prince should live as long as possible. Okay? The butcher, living or dying is the same. The brahmachari should quickly die. And the devotee doesn't matter. Living or dying is the same. Living or dying is the same. Butcher and the devotee, similar? No. He said, for the butcher, living or dying, both is like hell. There's many facets of this, and we're not condemning anyone, but it's not the most fortunate position. But we're not criticizing or condemning anybody. But by the power of the holy name, all sins are immediately removed. Therefore, the sin is itself soulless, and material ideas of good and evil are themselves relative. The devotee, living or dying, they're liberated. If they die, they're liberated, and while living, they're liberated. Why? Because they're engaged 10% body, mind, and words in transcendental devotional service. Therefore, they're liberated. Therefore, there's no fear of death. The Bhagavatam says, for one who is chanting the names of the Lord, fear personified runs in fear. What is there to fear? There's no fear. Last night we were talking about Lord Shiva, how he smears the ashes from the cremation grounds in his body to teach us that this life is temporary, we will die. But we should not be too concerned, it's just the turning of a page. And if we are abiding in the Lord, we will go and be with the Lord. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mama nusmara yuddhacha, Bhagavad Gita 8:7. Krishna says, therefore, at all times, remember me and do your fight. Mama nusmara yuddhacha. So we are not cowards. We do not flee the battlefield. We do our service according to our ashram, according to our responsibilities. Taking care of your families, developing, maintaining businesses and temples, serving Mother Cow, myself. I've lived in India many years. I made an effort to not serve less than 8 hours a day. I can say that honestly. Not because I'm on the clock, but because the day is full of 24 hours. And if you sleep more than 8, this means your next life will be that, like a sloth or something that is better suited to sleep. Koala bear, maybe. I know they sleep a lot. Our Swami Prabhupada said 6 hours is enough. And those very advanced in spiritual life, 4 to 5 hours is enough. What are you going to do the rest of your time? Okay, I'm going to chant Harinam. How long? 4 hours. Okay, so you have 6 hours sleep, 4 hours chanting, that's 10 hours. 14 hours left. Okay, I'm going to take prasad. Okay, how long? Some people take prasad and jalpa, talk for a few hours. Okay, 2 hours enough for prasadam? Kitna time chahiye? 2 ghanta? 1 ghanta. Okay, so 1 hour for prasadam. So now we have 13 hours left. 4 hours chanting, 6 hours sleeping, 1 hour prasadam. Okay, now we have kirtan. Let's say 2 hours for kirtan. Okay, 11 hours. 2 hours for harikatha, 9 hours. 9 hours are still left. You've done 64 rounds. Why? Gurudev would chant in 4 hours, but when we're starting 64 rounds, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, no problem. It's not about metric system, but the more you chant the holy name, our Gopa Mataji, every day she's chanting 1 lakh since 20 years. He says, if you don't have enough time to chant, that means you need to chant more. Because the power of the holy name is that it gives you power. It has all Shakti. So we have 9 hours left. Okay, how much time you need for Facebook and YouTube and Instagram? Okay, take half hour or 1 hour. Still have 8 hours left. Sevanam bhaktir uchyate. To serve is bhakti. Okay, so you have families. So therefore you serve and you maintain your families. And with some percentage of your profit, you give to spiritual activity, whether it's a temple, publishing books, traveling on pilgrimage, but something that is service not for yourself. So people say, oh, I'm saving up for my travel to India. What's that have to do with service? This is service to you, which is good. Service to your family, which is good. But what about Bhagavat Seva? So our Gurudev would say, I want you to serve like in the times of Swamiji Srila Prabhupada. So that is our mission. So part of Gurudev said, bhakti is not for the weak, the cowardly, but each according to their dharma. But we should be engaged in some useful activity. Without responsibility, our Gurudev would say, we're no better than animals. So it's very beautiful here that I've heard for a long time how beautiful this project is and how nicely it's being developed and maintained by the pillar here. Every community ultimately has a primary pillar. If you remove that primary pillar, everything will fall apart. So here we have our primary pillar, Sripad Sadananda Prabhuji. Through the business and through the mood of affection for devotees, this project is being maintained. And then through the team of devotees coming together, Prabhuji could very easily be acharya, guru, sannyasi, but it's very humbly serving. So that doesn't mean we should. This is another issue in society, is that we think higher and lower is based on status. Every soul is equal in the eyes of God, and we all have our different responsibilities and duties. But we should serve according to our. Prabhupada would say, like, put your best foot forward. I don't think he would say that, but I've heard from many of his disciples that he would say he was excellent at finding the unique genius of every individual and engaging them in devotional service. Therefore, we help discover and engage people according to their nature so that they can be happy in life. So this is very important. I know in temple life they say, for a successful temple, you need two things. And really it's one thing, but more problem solvers than problem starters. And the other thing we say is, we talked about this last night, we should all try to row in the same direction. I was recently in a program with someone who had visited the temple for the first time, and they invited me to their home, and they said, it's very nice you have Srila Prabhupada on the altar. We have a life-size Murti of Prabhupada. But he said, I don't think you follow him fully. You follow him to some percent. I said, what do you mean? He said, Prabhupada established 100 temples in 10 years. In a worldwide mission. In 10 years, coming alone. He said, we are not Prabhupada. He said, yes, but you are followers of Prabhupada. If you pray to him and take shelter of him, his energy can also come. Because his energy is the Lord's energy, Lord Nityananda's energy. But if you serve that energy of Lord Nityananda, then that is bal, strength. So we are not materially ambitious, but we are desirous of Jive Doya Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sad. To show the greatest compassion to the living entities is to propagate the chanting of the holy names and distribute the holy names. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya. Then God becomes your son, God becomes your friend, God becomes your beloved. According to your relationship with God, you will achieve that. Maharaj Nabi achieved it as his son. How will we achieve it? Without compassion for the living entities? Krishna ra sangsar koro is the previous line. Krishna ra sangsar koro. It's very important. It means you should create a society based on Krishna. That is samsara. Samsara means society, beginning with the family. So in Hindi we say, Sangsar kiya, Sara. Acha kiya. Krishna sangsar kiya. Your sangsar is good because it's Krishna sangsar. But if mat chhod ke nasibaji kiya, or ladki baji kiya, to kya hua? Sarvanas. So if you get married and you maintain spiritual family, this is Krishna sangsar. But if you give up temple life and then go and engage in womanizing and alcoholism, this is just sangsar. So how can we perform Krishna sangsar? Create a spiritual society, first based on the family, then developing from the family projects, communities. In our mission we say we put people before projects. That means people build the projects, leadership takes care of the people. Leadership nourishes the hearts, encourages them, inspires them like a father or like a mother, like Nanda and Jashoda. That's the ideal of leadership. Mother Yashoda was always giving, and Nanda Baba was always maintaining with love. Mother Yashoda said, I don't want a son because all the rishis are my sons, all the Brijabasis are my sons and daughters, meaning I'm a provider, I'm a maintainer, caretaker. Their parents were saying, when will you have a son? When will you have a son? They were doing yaga. She said, if I have one son, I'll only serve that son. I won't serve society. So this is the mood of a leader. Serving society means serving the people. Then the people manifest the vision. As they come together, they create the vision. What is the vision? What is the shared vision? Then together we row in the same direction. Then we follow Swami Prabhupada. This man said, 1 year I give you, build your temple. So for everyone, it's not that building the temple is the first priority. There are many priorities according to the desires of the community. The community comes together and they receive higher knowledge from their spiritual teachers. What is best for them? And then they use their collective energy to manifest the vision by rowing in the same direction, but leadership caring first for the needs, not of the people, for the people. That's why our podcast is called Servant for the People. That means parenting means sometimes your children don't know what's best for them. Therefore, you encourage them towards the ultimate good. So in leadership, it's not that others are your children. We're all ultimately, not that we're saying we're different, we're equal in the eyes of God, but still, according to our maturity, our experience, we should do what's best, but we should come together and share a vision and try to develop a vision and then serve it for the people. Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba served like that. They built a beautiful community. So here it's reminding me of that Vrindavan community. Why? Beautiful cows are here. The land is similar. And it's also dry, hot summers like Vrindavan, Mathura. Other areas are humid summers, so it's not so much like Mathura, more like Jagannath Puri or Navadvip. But Vrindavan is very similar to Vrindavan. If you look at Texas, it's like the heart of America. You look at the state. Looks like, I don't know, for some reason I see Texas, I see a heart and arteries and a pump. Yeah. Looks like a heart pump, a beating heart, right? That's why I'm coming down from the brain area to the heart area and serve the heart and understand how to act from the heart. Then you can use your intelligence, but you don't, because there are many people who use their intelligence to harm others and to lord it over others. But first act from the heart. Therefore, we follow the principles of kindness, courage, and wisdom. And I'll conclude with this idea that our Gurudev said, you should endeavor ultimately to realize your relationship with Krishna. That is the purpose of the society. Therefore, we also say individuals before institutions. Why? What is our individual relationship with Krishna? And how can we realize that? That means the purpose of the institution is to facilitate the growth of the individual. So we should design our communities around the best means of individual spiritual growth of the members. That's why we have our daily program, our sadhana, our chanting, our classes, our prasadam. Everything is designed for our spiritual progress. Therefore, there's a temple. The temple is for the progress of the members of the temple and for the service to society by inviting members of society to come and learn about the values of spiritual life by which we can ourselves realize our relationship with the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So today we're observing Lord Shiva's Shivaratri. Lord Shiva is the speaker of the Bhagavatam. Why? He spoke it, and then Sukadeva Goswami first heard from him, later he heard from Shri Vyasadeva. And so Lord Shiva is one of our gurus. Lord Shiva is the greatest of Vaishnavas. And as we heard last night, Lord Shiva is incarnation of the Lord, manifestation of the Lord, like milk that has become yogurt by an agent. So yogurt cannot again become milk, but it is also coming from milk. So Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living entity. He is also closely related to Vishnu Tattva. Therefore, on this day we also observe Ekadashi Brat by not taking grains. And we honor Lord Shiva and pray to Lord Shiva. And in this way we can make advancement in our spiritual life. Our Gurudev had a very close relationship with Lord Shiva from his childhood. There are many beautiful stories of this. So I thank you for allowing me to be present here before you. Hare Krishna, Vancha Kalpatarigasya Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Hare Krishna.